There are new bombshell claims today from royal insiders who say King Charles's cancer is incurable and he will likely die with the disease.
12:43 in the morning, a motorcade is pulling out of Windsor with William, Catherine and their 3 children inside, leaving behind the only home they say they ever truly chose for themselves. According to people familiar with the incident, they will not be sleeping there again for months, maybe longer, maybe never. And the reason why has nothing to do with scandal, nothing to do with palace drama, and everything to do with something found underneath their house that nobody on earth was supposed to find. Let's go back 4 hours. William and Catherine had been asleep for about 3 hours at Adelaide Cottage when sensors built into the walls picked up movement in a part of the house where movement should not have been possible. William reportedly woke first. Years of military training will do that. Catherine was awake seconds later, the way mothers tend to be. Neither said a word because both had learned the same lesson from years in public life. In a crisis, you listen before you speak. The knock on their bedroom door was quiet but urgent. William opened it to find Marcus Headley, head of personal protection, and 3 officers behind him. Nobody's face in that hallway said routine. Hours earlier, engineers conducting a standard foundation inspection had allegedly found a network of tunnels running underneath the cottage, reportedly dating back to the English Civil War, and completely missing from every survey, every record, every security sweep ever done on that property. On its own, that discovery would already be strange, but that's not what pulled a security team into their bedroom at midnight. Inside those tunnels, tools with no rust on them, footprints in dust that hadn't even settled, water bottles with a purchase date from weeks earlier, and photographs, recent surveillance images of the Wales family going about ordinary days, apparently taken from angles that only make sense if the photographer knew their schedule in advance. Someone had allegedly been underneath their home, and evidence suggested it wasn't the first time. If you're new to the channel, we're Crown Watch, and we cover royal stories the way they actually unfolded, not the way headlines package them. Subscribe if you want to see where this one goes, because it gets stranger from here. Catherine was reportedly already moving toward the children's rooms before the briefing even finished. George 11, Charlotte 9, Louis 6. Woken gently, dressed fast, moved out within minutes. Charlotte asked the only question that mattered. Are we safe here, Mummy? The pause before Catherine answered lasted less than a second. Witnesses say it was long enough to notice. By sunrise, forensic tents had gone up across the grounds. Detective Chief Inspector Sarah Wainwright, called in for her background in historical property investigations, began mapping a tunnel system that reportedly extended far past Adelaide Cottage, allegedly connecting to Windsor Castle itself, along with Frogmore Cottage and Royal Lodge. A hidden access network running underneath one of the most heavily guarded families on the planet, and according to investigators, nobody had known it existed. Here's the detail that turned this from an embarrassing security gap into something much darker. The most recent camp inside those tunnels was located in a chamber sitting almost directly beneath Prince Louis's bedroom, 20 feet down. Photos allegedly showed school drop-off times, Catherine's morning running routes, and the exact hours when security coverage was thinnest. This was not curiosity. This looked methodical. Specialists confirmed the tunnels likely dated to the 1600s, with some passages reportedly used generations earlier by young princesses Elizabeth and Margaret, sheltering during the Blitz. Somewhere along the way, full knowledge of the network had simply been lost, until, allegedly, someone found it again and kept coming back. Documents recovered from deeper inside, sealed in waterproof containers, suggested this went beyond surveillance into obsession. Maps annotated across different eras, cross-referenced with theories about treasure said to be hidden by royals during the Civil War. A historian brought in to review the material described it less as research and more as obsession, dressed up like research. Deeper still, in crawl spaces, barely wide enough for an adult, investigators reportedly found older camps, some nearly 2 years old. Journals filled with handwriting that grew more erratic with every entry, as though the person writing them was descending mentally at the same pace he was descending physically. The profile that emerged, someone with genuine historical expertise, real archival skill, and according to investigators, the patience to surveil a royal residence for close to 2 years without ever once being caught. The break in the case reportedly didn't come from the tunnels at all. It came from a forum moderator who flagged 18 months of posts from a user known only as Windsor Truthseeker, sharing theories about hidden royal treasure alongside maps that allegedly matched the documents found underground, almost line for line. A psychologist brought in to review the account described a clear pattern: curiosity sliding into conspiracy, then into personal grievance, ending in the belief that this person had been chosen to expose truths the royal family was supposedly hiding from the public. The name investigators landed on: Malcolm Hendricks, 47, a former museum curator in Kent, reportedly dismissed 3 years earlier after colleagues described him as increasingly erratic. He had real expertise in historical documents and architecture, which is exactly what made him dangerous. After losing his job, sources say he devoted himself entirely to this pursuit, apparently convinced the Wales family was somehow standing between him and a discovery that would vindicate everything he'd lost. His journals reportedly described feeling more at home underground than on the surface, sometimes staying down there 8 to 10 hours at a stretch. Somewhere along the way, his notes about the family stopped reading like observation and started reading like something closer to obsession, a one-sided connection with people he had only ever watched through a lens. Security footage allegedly placed a man matching his description near Adelaide Cottage repeatedly over several months. His vehicle led investigators to a rented cottage 3 miles away, found abandoned in a hurry, as though he'd learned he'd been discovered, and vanished minutes before officers arrived. According to the latest updates, he is still out there. Search history recovered from his devices reportedly included detailed maps of Sandringham and Balmoral, suggesting Windsor may not have been his only target. Investigators have warned that someone this deep into isolation and obsession is unlikely to simply stop on his own. Back at Kensington Palace, the fallout showed up differently in each child. Louis reportedly had nightmares about monsters in the ground. Charlotte became hypervigilant, checking locked doors and closed windows like she was running her own private security suite before bed. George reportedly went quiet, watching his parents' faces for the fear they were trying not to show him. The manhunt for Hendricks has since expanded to resources typically reserved for counter-terrorism cases, with intelligence services reviewing months of footage, frame by frame, looking for a face that shows up one time too many. William and Catherine are said to be facing the question neither of them wanted to ask: could they ever move back at all? The tunnels can be sealed, the grounds can be covered in cameras and sensors, but the knowledge that someone was down there in the dark, watching and waiting and planning, is reportedly not something a renovation can undo. The official statement described a temporary relocation for infrastructure upgrades. What it left out, according to people close to the family, is that William and Catherine already understood the real story underneath that language. They weren't leaving because of one threat. They were leaving because their home had allegedly been compromised for nearly 2 years without their knowledge, and no amount of new security fully erases that kind of knowing. Catherine reportedly walked through the cottage alone one final time. The kitchen where she'd baked birthday cakes, the sitting room from movie nights, the bedrooms where 3 babies became 3 children with their own personalities, none of it was gone. All of it felt different now. They've moved back into Kensington Palace, the exact place they once left behind to give their children something closer to a normal childhood. King Charles reportedly visited on the 3rd night and over a private dinner spoke less like a monarch briefing his heir and more like a father who has spent decades learning that royal and safe were never actually the same word. He has lived through his own intruders and his own credible threats, but according to those present, even he admitted this one felt different. A failure not of security, but of the ground itself. Weeks later, Louis is still said to be asking when they're going back to their real house. Nobody around him has an answer yet. And privately, neither William nor Catherine is believed to be certain there's a version of Adelaide Cottage they'll ever fully trust again, no matter how many cameras go up or how many sensors now line the tunnel entrances sealed shut in concrete. Because here's the part nobody tells you about feeling safe. It was never really about the walls, or the sensors, or the guards standing at the gate. It's about belief, the quiet, unexamined assumption that your home actually belongs to you, that nobody is underneath your children in the dark while they sleep. Once that belief breaks, no renovation on earth fully puts it back together. And as of the most recent update, Malcolm Hendricks has not been found.